AITA for exposing my cheating wife with a 3-minute phone call. My name is Daniel Brooks, 43 years old. I have lived in Phoenix for as long as I can remember, and I repair and maintain industrial refrigeration and HVAC equipment. It sounds boring, and to be honest, sometimes it is, but it pays well, and I am good at what I do. My workshop was in a small unit on Indian School Road between a print shop and a nail salon that always reeked of strong acrylic fumes. I had 4 employees: Tyler Grant, my trusted technician for the last 11 years, Karen Ellis, who handles administration and billing, and 2 young guys fresh out of the local trade school program that I am training. Rachel and I got married when I was 26 and she was 24. I met her at a cousin's backyard barbecue in Mesa, one of those gatherings where there are more people than chairs and you end up sitting on a folding chair with a plastic cup of soda. Rachel was wearing a green sundress that was a little too big for her, and she laughed with her whole body, leaning forward as if the laughter itself was heavy. I fell in love that night and did not stop for 17 years, or so I thought. We bought the house in Arcadia with a mortgage that I supplemented with savings from the workshop. 3 bedrooms, a backyard with a small orange tree that never produced great oranges but smelled wonderful in the spring. Our daughter, Haley, is 15 and is the most intelligent person I know. She attends a competitive preparatory academy and wants to be a marine biologist, which seems perfect to me because it means someone in this family is going to do something more interesting than fixing compressors. The point is, my life was normal, predictable. I would leave at 7 in the morning, come back around 8 at night, and eat whatever Rachel had prepared, almost always reheated leftovers or a quick sandwich, because she worked a part-time shift at a real estate office in Scottsdale and came home tired too. On Saturdays, we would go to the local farmer's market. On Sundays, my mother-in-law would come over for lunch, and I would endure 3 hours of comments about how I should expand the business, even though she could not tell a thermostat from an electrical outlet. Normal, until it was not. The first sign was not dramatic. It was an accounting issue. Karen handed me the month's bank statements because we needed to balance an invoice for parts we had ordered from a supplier in Tucson. While reviewing the transactions, I found 4 charges to a place called Vitality Wellness Center for $120 each on 4 consecutive Tuesdays. $480 in 1 month. I asked Rachel about it that night while I was washing the dishes. She was on the couch with her phone, as usual. "Hey, what is Vitality Wellness?" She did not look up. "A wellness studio I go to with Lisa." "What? $480 a month for classes?" "It is restorative sessions with a private instructor. It is not a group class at the gym, Daniel." She said it with that tone she used when she wanted to make me feel like I was being cheap for asking. And it worked. I shut up, washed the last dish, dried it, put it on the shelf, and went to watch the news in our bedroom. But the number stuck with me, $480. My newest employee earned close to that every 2 weeks. I did not look into anything that night or the next. It took me 2 weeks to revisit the subject, and it was not out of suspicion, but something much more mundane. The refrigeration unit at a popular fried chicken restaurant in a shopping plaza on Camelback Road broke down on a Tuesday at 11 in the morning. An emergency. I rushed out of the workshop with Tyler, and we were there until 3 in the afternoon. When we finished, I was soaked in sweat and needed a coffee before heading back. There was a Circle K on the corner, but Tyler suggested a place he knew 2 blocks away, a nice cafe with a patio. We walked, turned onto the street, and there was the sign, Vitality Wellness Center, Integrative Health and Body Therapy. It was not just a yoga studio, it was an upscale spa. An elegant spa with a modern stucco facade and hanging plants at the entrance. The kind of place where 1 session costs what I charge for a complete preventative maintenance service. I stood there in front of the glass in my grease-stained work shirt and my workshop cap. Tyler gave me a strange look. "Are you okay, boss?" "Yeah, let us go get that coffee." But I was not okay, because in the spa's display window, there was a poster with photos of the instructors: yoga, deep tissue work, body therapy. And one of the names read Damian Holt, certified body therapist. The photo showed a guy about 35 years old, square jaw, arms of someone who lives at the gym, and a smile straight out of a dental catalog. That night, instead of watching the news, I opened my laptop in the utility room. I am not a hacker, I do not know how to code, but I know how to find information because my job depends on finding suppliers, verifying companies, and tracking invoices. It is the same process, just aimed in a different direction. Vitality Wellness Center had a Facebook page, an Instagram account, and a website with a booking system. Damian Holt had a profile on all of them. His Instagram was public, 200 photos of him in challenging poses, leading mind-body reconnection, workshops, and posing at wellness events. In 3 of those event photos, blurry but recognizable in the background, was Rachel. In one, she was wearing the blue dress I gave her for her birthday. I did not sleep that night. Not because of jealousy, not yet. It was something worse. It was the feeling that a parallel version of my life was running that I did not know about, and that everyone around me probably did. The next day, Wednesday, I called Lisa. Lisa was supposedly the friend Rachel went to the studio with. I called her from the workshop with the door closed and the fan on for noise so no one could hear. Lisa, it is Daniel. Hey, a quick question. Did Rachel leave something in your car on Tuesday after her session? Can you look for it? Silence. 3 seconds that lasted a year. Daniel, I have not been to the studio with Rachel in months. Since October, I think. Is everything okay? Yeah. I must have gotten the day wrong. Sorry to bother you. I hung up. I just sat there on my workbench with a half-disassembled compressor in front of me. October. It was now April. 6 months of Tuesdays that never happened. That night, Rachel got home at 9. Her hair was damp, and she smelled like coconut lotion. She complained about the traffic on the freeway, poured herself a glass of iced tea, and sat down to check her phone. Haley was in her room studying. The house smelled of orange blossoms because it was still March, and the flowers from the small tree in the backyard insisted on perfuming everything. I did not say anything, but I looked at her differently. It is like when you open an industrial refrigerator and the thermometer reads 40 degrees Fahrenheit, but you know from the smell, from the texture of the ice on the wall, that something inside has already gone bad. On Thursday, I did something I never thought I would do. I called my buddy Victor, who works at an insurance agency but used to be a private investigator, the kind who tracks stolen vehicles and handles divorce cases. I told him the minimum. He understood the maximum. Give me a week, buddy, he said. But I am warning you, sometimes it is better not to know. I know. Tell me anyway. Victor did not need a week. On Monday, he sent a manila envelope to my workshop. Inside were 6 printed photographs and a 2-page report. The photos showed Rachel entering Vitality Wellness the previous Tuesday at 5 in the evening and leaving at 8:15. In 2 of the photos, Damian Holt was walking her to the door. In one, he had his hand on her waist. In another, they were saying goodbye in a way that was far more personal than a professional relationship. Victor's report included something else. Damian Holt rented space within the spa as an independent contractor. He was not an employee, and he owed 4 months of rent, over $4,000. The spa's owner, a woman named Sharon Blake, had him on a final notice since February. I put the envelope in the drawer of my workbench, under a manual for a major compressor brand that no one ever opens. I went to the taco spot on the corner, ordered a few grilled steak tacos with everything and a large drink, and ate them with a calmness I did not feel. The tacos were good, the drink was watery, the world kept spinning, and my marriage was over. That evening, while Rachel was in the shower, Haley sat next to me on the couch. She was doing homework on her laptop, something about marine ecosystems. She showed me a photo of a bleached coral reef. Look, Dad, this happens when the water temperature changes, even just a little. The coral looks the same on the outside, but on the inside, it is already dead. I stared at that photo for longer than normal. Haley looked at me funny. Are you okay? Yes, sweetie. Your homework is interesting. I closed my eyes when she turned back to her screen. A coral that looks the same on the outside, but on the inside, is already dead. My 15-year-old daughter had just described my marriage without knowing it. For the next 3 days, I walked around the house like someone who knows there is a problem, but has not decided whether to fix it or move on. I watched Rachel out of the corner of my eye, looking for signs I would have refused to see before. The way she angled her phone when I walked by. How she would step out to the backyard to answer calls, saying, "It is from work." The way she put on makeup on Tuesdays as if she were going to an important meeting, when her real estate office required nothing more than jeans and a blouse. On Saturday, Rachel and I had planned to go to my niece Emma's birthday party in Tempe. I canceled at the last minute. I told her I had an emergency at a restaurant on Camelback, a walk-in cooler that had failed with all the merchandise inside. It was a lie. I stayed at the workshop alone, putting together a quote for a new client, a chain of grocery stores that wanted preventative maintenance for their 12 locations in the metropolitan area. A big contract. The kind of project I had wanted for 2 years but had not dared to pursue because Rachel always said it was too much risk. What if you cannot deliver? What if you are short-staffed? Better to stick with what is safe, Daniel. Safe. Her favorite word. The same word she used to justify why I should not grow, why I should not hire more people, why I should not go after big clients. What was safe was me staying small, manageable, predictable. What was safe was me continuing to be the one who pays for the house while she lived her fantasy Tuesdays with Damien and his professional services. That night, when Rachel came back from the party with Haley, our daughter went straight up to her room. Rachel stayed in the kitchen, pouring herself a coffee. I was sitting at the table, looking over some numbers. Your sister asked about you, she said. Send her my regards. You have been strange lately. I am working. You are always working. And then it came. I did not look for it. I did not provoke it. I did not plan it, but it came on its own, like things that are already ripe and just need someone to shake the branch. It is just that sometimes I feel like I am living with someone who only exists to keep this house running. Like a technician. Like you are the technician of your own family. I looked at her over the glasses I use for reading. And what do you need that I am not giving you? Attention. Presence. For someone to make me feel like I am alive, not just that I am here. Someone, not something. Someone. Someone like who? Do not start. I am not starting anything. You said someone. Who is this someone who makes you feel alive, Rachel? Her face froze. She opened her mouth as if to say something, then closed it, picked up her coffee, and went to her room without answering. The orange tree in the backyard rustled in the night breeze, and the entire kitchen smelled of blossoms, as if the house itself were mocking the scene. On Monday at 9 in the morning, I made 2 calls. The first was to Rebecca Klein, a family lawyer Victor had recommended. I sent her the photos, the report, the bank statements with the charges from Vitality Wellness, and a spreadsheet I had put together with 6 months of payments. $2,900 in total for Damien's private sessions. The lawyer reviewed them in 20 minutes and called me back. Mr. Brooks, this is solid. The charges are verifiable. The photos have timestamps and location data. I can start the proceedings whenever you say. Tell me what you need. Just do not say anything to her yet. The second call was to Sharon Blake, the owner of Vitality Wellness Center. I did not know her, but Victor's report had her number because she was listed as the spa's legal representative. I called as if I were calling a supplier. Good morning, Ms. Blake. My name is Daniel Brooks. We do not know each other, but I believe we have a mutual problem. His name is Damien Holt. Silence on the other end. Then, who gave you my number? I explained what was necessary. I told her my wife was a client of the spa and that Damien was seeing her after hours, using the facilities as if they were his own. I mentioned, without accusing, just mentioned, that if the spa was registered as a wellness establishment and one of its contractors was using it for activities that did not align with that, there could be liability issues with regulations and insurance. I am not threatening anything, Ms. Blake. I am just telling you what I found. And what do you want me to do? Whatever you see fit. I already have what I need. I hung up. I did not feel satisfaction. I felt something like dropping a heavy bag you have been carrying up a steep street. You are not happy. Your shoulders just hurt less. On Wednesday, Victor sent me a text. Your therapist acquaintance is out of the spa. Sharon shut down his space. Seems those 4 months of back rent suddenly mattered. On Thursday, Rachel came home with a clenched jaw and swollen eyes. She did not break down in front of me. She locked herself in the bathroom, and I heard her talking on the phone in a low voice. I managed to catch one sentence. They are telling me you will not be able to operate from there anymore. The voice on the other end of the line must have said something harsh, because Rachel hung up and stayed quiet for a while before coming out. I did not ask her anything. I made dinner, some eggs with beans, and a couple of cheese-filled tortillas I picked up from the store. Haley came down. The 3 of us ate. Rachel did not touch her food. Haley looked at me as if asking what was wrong. I winked at her. Your mom's just tired from work, I said. Rachel did not correct me. On Friday morning, I left the manila envelope on the kitchen table, on top of the tray where she always put her keys. Inside were the 6 photos, the bank statements, the breakdown of the $2,900, and a handwritten note that said, Ms. Klein will contact you on Monday. The house is in my name. Pack your things. Take your time. There is no rush. I went to the workshop at 7 in the morning, like every other day. At 10 in the morning, I received 43 consecutive text messages. I read them all. They were a roller coaster of denial, fury, pleading, and threats. In that order. The last 5 were variations of, think about Haley. That did hurt, because of course I was thinking about Haley. I had not thought about anything else for weeks. How was I going to explain this to her? What would she think of her mom, of me, of the concept of marriage? But I also thought something else. Haley is 15. She observes everything. She notices more than you think. If I stayed quiet, if I swallowed this and kept playing the part of a functional family, what I would be teaching my daughter is that deceit is forgiven for the sake of convenience. And I was not going to do that. The weekend was long. Rachel tried 3 different strategies, like someone switching tools when the first one does not work. First, the technical denial. Damien is my body therapist. Daniel, do not be ridiculous. Then, the counterattack. If you were more present, I would not have had to seek attention elsewhere. And finally, sitting on the kitchen floor with her face in her hands, something that resembled the truth. It just built up. It was not planned. I did not want this. I watched her from the doorway. The orange tree in the backyard was in full bloom, and the scent of blossoms drifted in through the window with a sweetness that did not match anything that was happening. $2,900, Rachel. 6 months. You do not accumulate that kind of money without realizing it. She had no answer for that. On Monday, Miss Klein did her job. The house was in my name from before the marriage, paid for with income from the workshop. The accounts were clear. Rachel was entitled to half of what was accumulated during the marriage, but the $2,900 spent on Damien would be deducted from her share. The negotiation was quick because there was not much to negotiate. We signed within 3 weeks. Rachel moved in with her sister in the East Valley area. Haley stayed with me, not because I forced her, but because she asked to. She told me one Thursday after school, with her backpack still on, standing in the kitchen doorway. I am staying here, Dad. Do not ask me why. I did not ask. The first week was just strange. The house sounded different without Rachel. Not quieter, just different. The sound of her heels on the kitchen floor at 7 in the morning was missing. The hum of the hair dryer that came through the bathroom wall, the jingle of her keys dropping onto the tray by the door. Haley and I found our own rhythm without talking about it. I would make breakfast, scrambled eggs and orange juice from a carton, nothing gourmet, and she would wash the dishes before leaving for school. On Tuesdays, we ordered pizza through DoorDash. On Thursdays, I made chicken noodle soup because it is the only thing I make well. At some point, it stopped feeling strange and started feeling like ours. I heard little about Damien. Victor told me that after losing his space at Vitality Wellness, he tried to open his own studio in a cheaper area near Glendale, but he could not afford it. He left the Phoenix area in May. Someone saw him in California giving classes on the beach, the kind they charge tourists $20 an hour for. In a way, Rachel was more unfair to him than to me. She lied to my face. She made him believe he was available, that the money was his, that they were going to build something together. When it all fell apart, Damien was left without a studio, without a steady client, and without the story he had been told. I do not excuse him, either. He knew she was married. But I understand how it works, hearing what you want to hear. The grocery store chain signed with me in June. 12 locations, quarterly preventative maintenance. I had to hire 2 more technicians and move the workshop to a larger space on Central Avenue, with room for storage and a small office where Karen finally has her own desk instead of a folding table. Tyler helped me with the move one Saturday. When we finished, we sat on the curb with some glass-bottled sodas and grilled steak tacos from a street stand that sets up there on weekends. Feels strange, doesn't it, boss? Tyler said, chewing. What does? This. That things are getting good right when they got bad. I took a sip of the soda. It was ice cold and stung my throat. They did not get good, Tyler. They got the way they should have been a long time ago. Haley turned 16 in August. I threw her a party at the house, in the backyard by the orange tree. She invited her friends from school. They played music I did not understand and laughed until 11 at night. I stayed inside, making cheese-filled tortillas for all of them, one after another, like an assembly line. At one point, Haley came into the kitchen, hugged me from behind, and said, "Thanks, Dad." Then she ran off. The orange tree still does not produce great oranges, but this year, the blossoms lasted longer than ever. Last month, I drove past the old shop on Indian School Road. It is rented out now. They put in a cell phone accessories store. I parked for a moment and just stared at the new sign. I thought about the 17 years I worked in there, drafting quotes on a wobbly little table, answering emergency calls at 11 at night, grabbing a snack and coffee from the Circle K across the street as if it were dinner. I thought about all the times Rachel told me, "Stick with what is safe." And all the times I listened to her. Safe. What a tricky word. Because what was safe was not safe at all. What was safe was a refrigerator that reads 40 degrees on the outside, but inside, something has already spoiled. And you know it, you can smell it, but you keep closing the door because you do not want to deal with what you will find. I kept that door closed for 6 months. When I finally opened it, the smell was unbearable, but at least then I knew what it was. Comment. I really appreciate you taking the time to watch this story with me today. It reminded me how important it is to protect our self-respect in every relationship. Sometimes, we have to set clear boundaries, even when it feels difficult. Choosing honesty over comfort shows real strength and responsibility. Healing often begins the moment we decide we deserve peace. I believe being kind to ourselves includes knowing when to walk away from what no longer serves us. If you are going through something challenging right now, please remember that prioritizing your well-being is never selfish. We all deserve relationships built on trust and mutual respect. Let's keep learning to choose calm and truth in our own lives. If you liked it, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.